here. My name is Sam, and I talk about makeup, chronic illnesses, and whatever I want. I have been absent for a while, and we're actually going to talk about why today. Today I will be discussing the illness ME or CFS. And here's a little slogan on this channel. I can't pronounce things, so we're just gonna try. Myalgic Encephalomyelitis. And the CFS stands for chronic fatigue syndrome, but a lot of us feel that that description isn't accurate because the illness is so much more than fatigue. It's not just being tired, which most people assume it is. I'm just going to refer to it as ME in this video, not try to muck it up. So ME is an incredibly debilitating and serious illness. It's rarely discussed, and it is often not taken seriously by medical professionals or individuals, mostly because people don't know what it is. People with ME have their entire lives uprooted. I'm looking at notes. Things you used to be able to do, not even possible. That includes something as simple as taking a shower. I'm sure some of you are wondering, if you're so disabled, how do you look like that? And to that, I say, would you be listening to me if I looked like this? I know the answer for most people, and we can address your ableism in a later video. I will say, I rarely look like this. I put this stuff onto film, and as soon as I'm done, I take it off and get into bed. Filming is incredibly painful and difficult, like right now. Probably should have taken an ibuprofen before I started. I'm very uncomfortable. I almost always look like a poorly baked potato, as you saw. That's what I usually look like. Even when I look like this, I look great. Earrings, makeup, hair. I'm still disabled. Whether you want to accept that or not, it's the truth. Most medical schools in the United States do not offer any kind of training in ME at all, so most doctors don't understand it. When patients come in with the symptoms, they're often dismissed as a hypochondriac making things up, and because of that, a lot of people go undiagnosed. They don't get correct treatments. It took me until I was 21 to get a correct diagnosis. I knew there was something wrong with me and that I wasn't crazy, but most doctors tried to make it seem like I was. So what is it? What is this disease? And that's where it starts to get a little complicated. The symptoms can be a little bit different for everyone. The symptoms I have won't be the same as someone else who has this disease. While they'll be similar, there are things that affect people more severely, less severely. Some symptoms people don't have at all. The most common symptom, which is where it originally got the name chronic fatigue syndrome, is debilitating exhaustion. And by that I mean you're so tired you can't even sit up, you can't get dressed, you can't wash your hair. It's not just I'm tired and could use a nap, because naps don't work. They don't help. You wake up as miserable as when you went to bed. A marker of the exhaustion is it's not just physical activity. Emotional and mental activity also flare the exhaustion. This part I'm going to read because I'm not going to remember it. The research shows dysregulations of the immune system, the endocrine system, the nervous system, the digestive system, the reproductive system, and the cardiovascular system, which to put it in simple terms, it fucks all your shit up. Your whole body, head to toe, it's all fucked up. And I could say there's a part of all of those that is wrong with me. It's not just one thing. As I said before, it's not just being tired. It's so much more than that. I'm sure you're wondering, what causes it? So, nobody knows for sure what causes this disease. For me personally, it was after a viral infection. I got mono my senior year of high school, and I never recovered. There are other possible causes, such as immune system changes, stress affecting your body chemistry, changes in energy production by your metabolism. There's a possible genetic link, but what seems to be the most common is an infection. Now let's dive into the nitty-gritty. This unwelcomed question I'm asked by everyone, even strangers.
How are you disabled exactly?
Grab some popcorn, this gets hefty. I'm gonna have to read from the list again. There is a book written. This book goes over everything about this disease in detail, and it's very helpful. In it is a list with percentages of people who were polled of the symptoms people face. I went through this book and I highlighted everything that happens to me. I'll start by saying I experience most of these every day. Yes, every single day. The things I don't experience every day, I will say I experience probably twice a week. How I'm still alive? Pure spite. Let's start with the first. It's fatigue accompanied by non-restorative sleep, worse with exertion, as I explained earlier. The only way I can describe how it feels for me is I constantly feel like I took a sleeping pill and I'm trying to like fight through it. Some days are much worse than others to where like I can't even think of words, I guess. I can't form a complete sentence because my brain just quits. Next one, nausea. This is a severe one. You can't see what's in here. Diet Pepsi is something that settles my stomach, so you'll see me with one almost all the time. I'm not a soda addict. It's just something that helps with the nausea that's not a medication that has side effects that make my life even worse. Nausea is definitely something I feel most of the day. I've learned to live with it to a degree, but when it hits me hard, I'm laid out. Can't get out of bed. IBS. That could be diarrhea, constipation, nausea, gas, abdominal pain. I have had this the entire time I've been sick. It fluctuates between whether it's diarrhea, the gas, or constipation. I have found that I am gluten intolerant. It's not an allergy. It just causes some digestive issues. I can't eat red meat. I can't digest it at all. So I try to limit gluten, which is hard, especially on days I have flares and I can't cook. I have to eat something processed, which almost always has gluten in it. But I manage that well enough. Chronic sore throat. This was one that I didn't actually know was a symptom until I read this book. I have had a sore throat every day for 13 years. It's very annoying. It does go away throughout the day. It kind of comes and goes. It's mostly, I would say, the first few hours I'm awake. Definitely gets worse when my allergies act up, but I think that's fairly normal for anyone with allergies. But very annoying. Fevers, chills, sweats, feeling hot often. My body cannot regulate temperature at all. I'm either very hot or very cold, and there's no in between. Like right now, I'm pretty toasty. I had a different shirt on and I was actually sweating, so I had to change. Muscle and or joint pain and neck pain. My copays are too expensive for me to go anymore, but I used to do physical therapy where I would get massages, I would do the chiropractor. They had talked about doing Botox injections in some of my muscles to try to help with the pain. Right now, I mostly rely on ibuprofen, things like Aspercreme and Biofreeze, and my TENS unit. I don't know what TENS stands for, but I will attempt to remember to link what the machine is down below in case you're interested. It's very helpful. You can get some on Amazon, but I would suggest talking to your doctor before you get one, and you can get a prescription if your insurance will pay for one, and that will really help the cost. My pain is, I would say, regularly at a 7 minimum, but frequently goes up to like a 13. I was on a medication that handled it well, but the side effects were like intense vomiting, and my insurance stopped paying for it. So we're gonna be here all night, folks. Bladder problems. So I have never been pregnant. I have never had kids. I am only 30, well, almost 31 years old, and my bladder leaks all of the time. It's fun. Well, I take that back. It's not all of the time. A lot of the time. Low blood pressure. I have POTS, which will be a different video. I've talked about it before. But basically, my blood pressure also can't regulate itself, especially when I sit up too fast, stand up too fast, do certain activities. Sometimes even when I'm laying down, it'll just go cuckoo and I faint. But my blood pressure in some of my fainting spells have literally it has literally been 60/40, which is incredibly low. I had to go to the hospital for that. It's a whole thing. I take a medication called Bystolic, which has helped it happen less frequently. It was happening multiple times a week, but now it's less than that. However, it is the reason I do not drive, besides the grogginess making my reaction time slower. The random fainting is not safe. And then we have malaise, which is a general feeling of discomfort, illness, or uneasiness whose exact cause is difficult to identify. Basically, you feel like shit. Heat and cold intolerance, that kind of goes back to my inability to regulate my temperature. So I can't tolerate the heat, it causes me to pass out. I can't tolerate the cold, it causes extreme fatigue and extreme pain. So if anyone knows of a place that doesn't have bugs and has a perfect temperate climate, just leave a comment down below. Weight gain. Believe it or not, I used to be 100 pounds. Between medicine side effects, I'm so disabled I can't exercise, between the ME causing an extreme flare and accelerating the illness to become even more debilitating, the blood pressure, where certain activities just make me faint. I'm just also out in genetics. It's not that big of a deal. It did lead to an eating disorder, which I will have the little pop-up here linking you to that video where I talk about that. Increased severe PMS. I always thought this was related to like endometriosis, but I do have PMDD and intense PMS that lasts about a week and a half to 2 weeks. It's terrible. If you are someone with a uterus, you understand the things it can do to you, so I won't dive into that. Swelling and fluid retention. That's part of this right here. My face is a lot more swollen than it usually is. It's also the reason I switched to silicone rings. My hands swell regularly. I don't know why. It's definitely not dehydration. I stay hydrated for the pots, so just lucky, I guess. Subnormal body temperature. I actually run on average 1 degree cooler than usual. If I read regular, I am typically having a hot flash or a little bit of a fever. Severe allergies. This is something that's wild. When I was in high school, I had very, very mild seasonal allergies that lasted like 1 week of the year. No big deal. I took a Claritin. It was fine. Around the age of 22, I started having severe allergic reactions to things. I couldn't breathe out of my nose. I couldn't stop sneezing. My eyes burned. And at the age of 23, I went for allergy testing and I was just allergic to a crazy amount of things. I found out that I'm deathly allergic to cockroaches. Like if I encounter one, I could go into anaphylactic shock. My whole arm swelled up when I got the testing. I'm allergic to dust mites. I'm allergic to multiple types of pollen. I'm very allergic to mold. All of this kind of came out of nowhere. So now, to combat my allergies, I got 7 years of allergy shots. I have to do a sinus rinse twice a day. I do Nasacort nose spray, and I take an allergy pill, and I have allergy eye drops. It's intense. Sensitivities to medicines, inhalants, odors, and food. So I mentioned I am sensitive or intolerant to gluten. I am sensitive or intolerant to red meat. I can only eat things like chicken and pork sparingly. Odors, medicines not so much, but like smells, smoke, certain perfumes, all of that sends me into sneezing fits, gives me a migraine. I'm not someone who is like anti-marijuana use, but the smell of that like it makes my eyes burn and water, and I sneeze, and it aggravates my asthma. I don't know what happened. Difficulty swallowing. I actually had a conversation with my doctor about this because I thought maybe I was having an issue with my tonsils swelling because I couldn't swallow my medications. They'll sometimes just get stuck. Heart palpitations, that kind of goes with the POTS. I never feel that my heart is racing, but I wear this Fitbit to keep track of my heart rate, and we'll get into that a little further down. Sinus pain, that kind of goes back to the whole crazy allergies thing. Rash or flushing of the face. I regularly get red-faced, not to be confused with like the lupus. I will often just get red splotches randomly on my face. Chest pain. This for a while I attributed to the asthma, but it's not terrible to where I have felt like I need to go to the hospital. Also, my heart is monitored regularly, so I feel confident it's nothing severe like that, but I do get that. Hair loss. This has been difficult for me to come to terms with. I posted something last spring. I can't stop burping. I posted something last spring about it when I dyed my hair green. I've always had thin hair. It's just a genetic thing, and I've never really been too self-conscious about it, but over the years I have lost so much more of my hair. It's broken, like you'll see all of these little pieces here. Like, I take good care of it. I try not to heat style it very often. I use protectants and all of that, but it's just a reality between my thyroid and this disease that I'm going to lose hair. And my hair has thinned significantly. It actually is a little deceiving when I wear it like this. But my ponytail is like this big around. I'm doing okay with it, but it has been something I've struggled with because I've lost so much of my life that having nice hair was something that I, you know, would pride myself on, and to lose that has been hard. Tendency to bruise easily. I have bruises all over me all the time. I usually don't know where they come from. Vomiting, that kind of goes with the nausea. There was one point, I would say 2 or 3 years ago, where I would throw up twice a day. It was pretty brutal. Endometriosis. This is also a genetic thing. It runs on my mom's side of the family. All the women have it. Cousins, aunts, my mom. So I don't know that it's attributed to this specifically, but it is a brutal disease that I will be making a video on later. Dry mouth. This is also a side effect of many medications. So which came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know, but it's horrible. It causes cavities. I do everything I can. I use a prescription toothpaste. I have like biotin. I always try to drink something. I've tried sugar-free candy. It's brutal. So if I lose all my pretty chompers, that's why. Hypoglycemia-like symptoms. This is interesting because they thought I was hypoglycemic at the beginning of all of this, and that was the cause of all my symptoms. I went on a diabetic diet. Nothing got better. Only to find out that the little blood test machine they gave me was calibrated incorrectly and was saying I had low blood sugar when I just had normal numbers. Swelling of nasal passages. Yeah, like I said, I haven't been able to breathe out of my nose in 13 years. Confusion, inability to think clearly. For me, this goes with the exhaustion. Like I said, some days I can't even really think of how to form a complete sentence. I have these notes here. Like, I make notes for most things. I have Post-its. I have reminders on my phone. Like, I have them for medication, so I remember to take them. I use a paper planner to literally write everything down, including things that you might easily remember, like my morning pills, my night pills, don't forget concentration attention deficit. I would say that kind of goes with the last one. Sleep disorder, disturbance, insomnia, unusual nightmares. For me, I don't have insomnia very much, but I have the craziest, most vivid nightmares. It's terrifying. I'll wake up totally covered in sweat, like drenched to where I have to change my clothes. And that started probably about a decade ago. I thankfully don't have them too often, but they do happen. Muscle weakness. I cannot retain muscle at all. As soon as I develop muscle, it kind of just disappears. It's incredibly frustrating to not be able to do much of anything for myself because of that. Headache. I'd say I get a headache not every day, but multiple times a week. And I never know what it's from. Is it from my muscle pain in my neck, my shoulders? Is it the weather change? Is it my sinuses? It's really hard to tell. Gotta get back in position. My camera shut off. Memory problems, especially short term. There are literal chunks of my life that I don't remember at all. And some people say that's like attributed to trauma, which it could be. But I think a lot of it has just been the illness mixed with so much has happened that I can't remember it all. Photosensitivity. I'm very sensitive to light. I have these bright lights on now, but the sun, I'm very, very sensitive to. Just have sunglasses as dark as I can get them so I can be outside. Disequilibrium, dizziness, vertigo. I lose my balance all the time. I'll be fine and then I'll just be walking and it just boop, disappears. Spaciness, lightheadedness. This goes hand in hand with the POTS for me. Muscle twitching, involuntary movements. Yeah. The worst part of this is the amount of times I have dropped something. Like I'll just be holding it and my hands will just stop handing. Coordination problems, clumsiness. Kind of goes with that. Visual disturbance like floaters. I get floaters when my fatigue is at a level 10. I can't get rid of them unless I go to sleep. If I'm awake and my fatigue is that bad, floaters, both eyes, all day long. Sleep is the only cure for me. Fainting or blackouts, POTS, earache. I would say I have an earache every day. At one point in the day, one of my ears hurts. It usually tends to be the left ear. I'm not sure. I figure it's related to the sinus problems. Alteration of taste, smell, hearing, such as ringing of the ears. So my ears ring on a regular basis. Sometimes, like recently, it was so loud I actually couldn't hear for a few moments. My hearing is fine. I'm not sure what causes it. I don't have any kind of hearing loss. Anxiety. I mean, I had an anxiety disorder before this, but can you blame me for having it now? Mood swings, excessive irritability, overreaction. I tend to become very irritable and overreact the worse I feel. I have no patience when I am flaring really bad. I just fly off the handle. Depression and panic attacks. Can you blame me? Well, there has to be some kind of treatment, right? Wrong. There's literally no treatment. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm only partially joking. Seeing as there's been next to no research done on this disease, there isn't a treatment because nobody knows what causes it in the first place. The only treatments there are is to treat individual symptoms, like nausea, give you a nausea pill. Blood pressure issues, give you a blood pressure medication. However, I will say the most important treatment is something called pacing. And this is something I wish I would have learned about forever ago because I could have slowed the progression of my disease. With ME, the more you push yourself, the faster your disease progresses to the point that you may be completely bedridden. So where pacing comes in is you're going to attempt to slow down the progression of this disease. I did not know about this, and I had a year probably, where I felt normal again. So I went hog wild. I didn't realize that because I had been pacing for multiple years before, that's why I was feeling better. I was resting constantly, and so I started to feel better because of that. So when I started to feel better, I just went crazy. I started jogging, I started doing whatever, and then I crashed hard. I crashed so hard I had to drop out of college. I never finished it. I became very bedridden. I gained all this weight, and like horrible things happened because I didn't know about pacing. Pacing is basically figuring out what your window of activity should be. A bunch of people's are going to be different. Some people have 4 hours a day that they're okay, some have 2, some have 20 minutes. You have to figure out what your body can work with. When you're pacing, you're managing both your mental and physical activities within a reasonable manner for you. So you're not going to go jogging, you're not going to clean the whole house in one day, you're not going to go socialize at a party for 6 hours. You just can't do that anymore. When you learn pacing, you'll learn what your limits are and what you need to do to recover, what you can do without causing a flare-up. Once you learn your limits, you have to stay within what is called an energy envelope, which is maybe you can only attend a party for 30 minutes. Don't go past 30 minutes even if you're having a good time, because you're going to regret it. Basically, when you get ME, you have to learn an entire new way of life. And if I sat here and listed all of the ways I had to give up normal life and start a new one, this video would be 3 hours long. So there's going to be follow-up videos to this in the future, but this is where I wanted to start. I found that the most helpful thing for me avoiding PEM and pacing is tracking my heart rate, which is where this guy comes in. If I keep my heart rate under 120, which is difficult when you have tachycardia, I can prevent PEM most of the time. I calculated I have about 4 usable hours for my energy envelope. Once I remove the time I need to sleep and all the rests I have to take in between the activities I do, I have a total of 4 hours I can do things. And in those 4 hours, I need to keep my heart rate under 120 or I will flare. If I walk from here to the bathroom, my heart rate goes up to about 109. Right now, it is 89. When I'm not flailing about, it's about 74. But standing up and walking shoots right up. The physical activity I can do has to be very slow, calculated, with lots of breaks. So if I do exercise, like let's say I want to do a couple squats, I can usually do 2 squats and then I have to rest for multiple minutes for my heart rate to go down. And I can do, so a 10-minute exercise for a normal person could take me an hour depending on where my heart rate is at. This also means that even doing things like taking a shower or folding laundry, multiple breaks. Sometimes after I take a shower, actually I'd say most days after I take a shower, I need an hour to recover. I need to lay down for 1 hour after I take a shower. That is all I have for this video. It's already been incredibly long and I apologize to editing Sam. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and liking. I post videos every Friday as long as my health is up to it. I hope I'm back in the groove now. I will be adding more videos to the chronic illness series as time goes on, but I like to balance some fun stuff in here as well. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions regarding ME or CFS, leave them in the comments below. It would be great to interact with other people. If you're looking for resources, I'm going to list some in the description box. There are subreddits, there are other videos, and they've all been helpful, especially if you are finding that maybe you had COVID and now you're a COVID long hauler and you're new to this. I felt very lost when I first got sick, and the whole point of me doing a series like this is to help people the way I wish I would have been helped. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.